Okay, so number 4, it's the first one we have to put a lot of pieces together. It says be able to determine the moles or grams of product given the equation in a known amount of reactant. So your equation is that chromium reacts with excess oxygen to produce chromium 2 oxide. And if you have 8.55 moles of chromium, how many moles of chromium oxide could you form? Or if you had 75 grams of chromium, how many grams of chromium oxide could you form? So 2 different ways you might be asked this question. You might be asked to convert between just molar amounts, or you might be asked to convert between masses. So if we get a balanced equation first, chromium's a metal, so it's just Cr. Oxygen gas could be O2. And then chromium 2 oxide is just going to be CrO. So that one balances pretty easily. So if you have 8.55 moles of chromium, since that's already in moles, to predict how many moles of chromium oxide is just a one-step process. I could just take my 8.55 moles of Cr and set up a ratio of CrO compared to Cr, and that ratio is 2/2. So it'd also be 8.55 moles of chromium oxide that I could expect to form. If you're given grams instead of moles, then it becomes a little more difficult. Now, instead of knowing how many moles of chromium you have, you're being told you have 75 grams, and you're being asked how many grams of chromium oxide could that form. Well, this balance equation doesn't tell us anything about grams. It only tells us about moles. So I have to take that 75 grams of chromium, and I need to find out how many moles of chromium that is. And chromium weighs 52 grams per mole. So we have about 1.5 moles here. 1.44 moles of chromium. So if I have 1.44 moles of chromium, then just like our first problem, I know that I should get 2 chromium oxides from 2 chromiums. So that also means I have 1.44 moles of chromium oxide. So if I have 1.44 moles of chromium oxide, how many grams should that be? Well, 1 mole of chromium oxide, 52 plus 16 is 68 grams. Times the 1.44, I could expect 97.92 grams of my chromium oxide.